We begin with reports coming to us that U.S. President Barack Obama has authorized surveillance flights over Syria. Now, the aim would be to gather intelligence on the Islamic State group. Now, this comes as Syria's government says it will work with the rest of the world to fight the IS group. The country's foreign minister has warned that airstrikes within its borders must be coordinated with Damascus. But Walid Muallim said international cooperation would deal with the terrorist threat.
The resolution reaffirms that it's quite impossible to deter terrorism without an approach where all countries and all international and regional organizations are cooperating in preventing these terrorist threats.
Well, the Islamic State group still has a significant presence in several strategic areas. In Iraq, they still hold towns and villages around Mosul, as well as the city itself. Other key places include Tikrit, as well as Jalaula and Fallujah. Across the border in Syria, IS fighters still hold Deir az-Zor, and the group now says it has taken full control of Raqqa province. Joshua Landis is the director of the Center for Middle East Studies at the University of Oklahoma and joins me now. Joshua, we are just now hearing that Obama has authorized surveillance flights over Syria, obviously to gather intelligence. What does this say to you?
Well, it seems all of his generals have been advising him that if he wants to hurt ISIS, he's going to have to hurt them in Syria as well as Iraq. And that is a conundrum for the United States because they don't feel, President Obama does not feel that he has partners in Syria, either in the Assad regime or amongst the Syrian rebel groups.
Is it conceivable for the U.S. to go ahead and strike targets in Syria without cooperating with Damascus as the Syrian government has asked?
Yes, I think it is. And a number of Washington figures have already said that they will go after them one side of the border or the other because Assad doesn't rule his border. He's not in control of the north part of his country. And therefore, he has very little say over what people do. And the United States has claimed self-defense in this because of the Foley murder and because ISIS has said that it's going to hurt America and come to New York.
Now, so if that's the case, and if it does come to the U.S. moving into hitting targets in Syria, how would you quantify the U.S.'s involvement in this? It was supposed to be just backing fighters in Iraq against the IS fighters. Now, if this also means crossing country boundaries, how involved is the U.S. going to be now?
Well, that's the million-dollar question. What does President Obama, now that he's gotten himself involved in striking ISIS, does he want to destroy them? Does he just want to mow the lawn, as Prime Minister Netanyahu did in Gaza, without any attempt to fix the root problems of Sunni discontent, stretching from throughout Syria all the way over to Iraq? That's the question. Is he going to try to build a nation out of if he destroys ISIS, to replace it with something, or is he just going to kill the leadership, disrupt, hurt destroy as much of their military stuff as he can, hit their headquarters and destroy stuff? Or is he going to try to build something new?
And adding to all this confusion, we're now seeing that foreign fighters are joining the IS fighters and prompting the Australian leader to want to put down rules to stop his citizens from going over to Syria and joining the fight. What do you think it is that makes these young people go cross countries, leave their Western education, leave their Western lifestyle, to now take up arms in a clearly disorganized fight?
Well, I think it's akin in many ways to the brigades that went to help the Spanish Civil War from New York. And my father was very taken by this. And many of his friends went and volunteered in Spain because it was the romantic fight against fascism. And I think for many Muslims, Sunni Muslims today, they feel like the Shiites are fascist. They've demonized Shiites, whether it's in Baghdad or in Damascus, who've been extremely sectarian. And they feel like Sunnis are getting no justice, and that to go and fight jihad is not only adventurous, but it's the right thing to do. And that's the problem that, of course, haunts anybody trying to deal with ISIS, is if you kill them, how are you going to rectify the terrible social problems that beset Sunnis from one end of the Levant to the other?
Indeed, and that clearly is not being addressed. Thank you so much, Joshua Landers. Thanks for your analysis.